What's going on, YouTube? Culturedog Sam Hatch, and I'm back as promised with the follow-up to my State of the Channel address from last week. And thank everybody who responded to that video. Just kind of celebrating getting 500 subs. Now it's up to 630 or something like that. So I was a little late, but it's cool this channel's snowballing the way it is, and I appreciate everybody out there for dropping comments and just all the enthusiasm, and even especially about Laserdisc in particular. So I definitely appreciate it, and I'm going to be still delivering tons more Laserdisc content, and among other things, I've got a bunch more reviews coming up shortly for Blu-rays and Laserdiscs, etc., and of course the Laserdisc Essentials series before Leroy Green sends Show Enough out to get me. So I promise I'm going to get some more Laserdisc Essentials videos out there. But one of the cool things that was going on with this whole celebration was I was going to be giving away a copy of this sweet Jurassic Park CAV box set, and I'm not going to pull the whole Ryan Seacrest wait to the end to figure out what it is. I'll just announce the winner right now. Thanks to everybody who wrote in and said I want Jurassic Park on Laserdisc, and ended up having some correspondence with some people based on that as well. So very, very cool. And thanks everybody who entered. I was going to do like a grand, like pulling the name out of a hat, something like that. But as I mentioned before, apparently there's some sort of YouTube scenario where you can't do a contest if you're not a partner or anything like that yet. So I figure for now I'm just going to keep this channel about fun and videos and everybody watching stuff, and kind of worry about that stuff some other day. So I did a email-based contest. So the winner is... I don't want to give away everybody's full name, but PRP, thank you very much for writing in. And I will be packing up this Jurassic Park box set, Toot Sweet, and sending it up your way. So you should be getting it very shortly. And by the time this airs, you've already received your winner confirmation email. But again, thanks for everybody for participating, and I'm sure I'll be doing some more giveaways and stuff like that. I've got some more cool doubles of Laserdisc and stuff like that. So we'll try and keep the milestones going with the subs and do some more of these. So I appreciate everybody for getting involved. So I figure if you want to stick around for the Q&A, you can stick around for the Q&A. If you just wanted to see what the contest was all about, then that's fair enough. But yeah, I did get a lot of questions written in too, so I figured I'll go through some of this stuff. And some of these things will be kind of illuminated in more depth in the Laserdisc Essential series, but let's fire right into some stuff. WVU 27 wrote in, as someone who isn't as well versed in the audio side of things, what are the big differences between the Dolby Digital format and the DTS one? They're both, on Laserdisc at least, 5.1 surround sound kind of formats. Or platforms. And since the death, so-called, of Laserdisc on DVD, they've definitely expanded, and now on Blu-ray they have like lossless versions and like DTS master audio, etc. So at the start it was a 5.1, so that being left front, center front, right front, left and rear surrounds, and a 0.1 for low frequency effects, or basically a subwoofer channel. And that's how it started. And then quickly, even towards the end of the Laserdisc era, it started to branch out. They were able to encode a center channel in the rears, and that was Dolby Digital EX. And of course, DTS ended up getting on the bandwidth now. Now we've got Dolby Atmos, and there's 11.1 channels and all that stuff. But for the nitty gritty on the Laserdisc format, Dolby Digital hit first. It was called AC3, and it delivered a 5.1 surround sound channel option, but it was actually encoded on one of the analog channels of the audio on Laserdisc and had like 384 kilobits per second, whereas DTS wasn't lossless, but it had a lot more breathing room and a lot less compressed. That's why people like Widescreen Review magazine were championing it. It was kind of listed as, I've seen both, I think 1441 kilobits per second and 1535 or 1536, but I've also heard that the kind of real world scenario where people have actually been able to capture the bit rate of the DTS disc while they're playing and see what it is really around like 1235 kilobits per second. So more than the first wave of DTS DVDs. Those were at like this half bit rate, around 700 something. So it was definitely very dynamic and not compressed. So DTS was very, very big among the audiophiles. But that said, Dolby Digital was no slouch either. He had that small, like 384 kilobits per second, packed a wallop, and it was great having the separation in the rear channels. So that's really all it is just two competing formats for the same thing. Sony at the time had a competitor in the theaters called SDDS, but never quite made it onto home video. But yeah, so there you go. It's the two different formats. They're stored differently on Laserdisc. One's on the analog audio channel, and DTS is on the, it takes over the digital channels. So in order to get them both, you need a player that has both AC3 RF out, and you need a digital out. So some players, like the high-end Elites later on, and the CLD D704 from Pioneer, and a few others had that option. So there you go. Thanks for writing in. Legends from Cherry Hill wrote in, nice work, sir. Love Q&A type videos. Here's a couple questions. One, what was the first film you saw at the cinema with your own money? And that's a tough one. It's possibly the Deadpool, because I remember going to see that with some friends. And it's possibly also a year earlier, The Principal with Jim Belushi. But it's that tough call where there was an era where I had a job, but I wasn't quite sure, the fine line between my money and my parents throwing a couple dollars for me to head out. But I do know the first film that I drove myself to was The Naked Gun. So that was the first time I ever drove, brought a bunch of friends with me, and checked it out. Second question was, what's your favorite Total Metal video? If you're talking single video, like just a quick, song video, for metal, I don't know, it's kind of tough to beat Slayer Seasons in the Abyss with all the Egyptian scenery and everything. If you're talking with full-length video, then I have to go Metallica, Cliff 'Em All, because that thing, was part of my DNA growing up. So thanks for writing in. Cheers, and look forward to seeing more videos from you. JP Styles 85 wanted to see a no real question, but wanted to see a unboxing of my most recent Japanese order. So I promise I will do that, and hope you're enjoying your Sony player that you picked up. Mr. Phenom 444 wrote in, congrats, man. Are you more of a video file or an audio file? And I started more as an audio file, and I think I kind of flip-flopped at some point. At first, I was very more into the sound of things, and I was watching videos on a small, like 19-inch TV. So I had my speakers and my surround sound, and that's really all that mattered. And then I stepped up to a wildly huge 27-inch Magnavox TV, and then I realized, oh wait, all right, the video is important too. And then after that, I stepped up to a 43-inch Sony rear projection TV, and then I'm like, all right, big video and all this stuff kind of does make a difference. And then I got into projectors and stuff like that. So I think after a certain point, the kind of seesaw started leaning more towards the video angle of things. That said, I still would love to invest in some more amps and speakers and stuff like that. But yeah, so at the moment, we're leaning more video file. Another question was, are you going to transition to the UHD Blu-ray phase? And probably, there's a lot of great stuff that's going to be coming out in 4K, and I know, Warner Brothers, among other studios, have been making 4K digital masters for quite some time. That said, there is also the marketing aspect of it, because, every couple of years you need some sort of new catchphrase to sell TVs. And for a while it was, refresh rates, and then it was 3D, and then 3D started dying down. So now it's all 4K UHD. And I could toe that line where I say that it doesn't really matter, because it's all about field of vision and how big the screen is versus how far you sit from it, and that in order to see that extra resolution, you're going to need a really big screen, and there's going to be a saturation point of what the human eye can perceive versus what is being resolved in these high definition formats. But that said, I do watch things on a big wall, so if there is some difference to be seen from maybe a projector that's 4K, I stand a chance of seeing it. That said, I'm still pretty happy with just 1080p for the most part, and I can hang on to old formats for quite some time. So I definitely don't feel the push to pick it up right now. Next question was, what films made you cry? All right, so there's going to be now the embarrassing one isn't Titanic. But I'll cop to that. Titanic, man. Come on. Titanic, Leo, he dies and stuff. Big Fish from Tim Burton, that thing could like level an entire audience. Like at the end of that movie, all you can hear is people just quietly sniffling and trying to like keep their stuff together. Gattaca, also 1997. Gattaca and Titanic, both very weepies. No, it was just the triumph of the human spirit, that kind of thing. And Gattaca just knocked me on my ass. And I had to kind of think back to one of the oldest memories. And I used to watch the Afternoon Monster specials on my local NBC channel. And one of the flicks they showed was Gappa the Triphibian Monster, a.k.a. Monster from a Prehistoric Planet. I think American International Pictures bought it from Japan and released it over here. And it's about this, I don't know, kind of dinosaur bird pterodactyl thing, and it's trying to get back its baby or whatever. That thing killed me. I was just this little bawling kid, and my mom's like, what the heck? It's got a happy ending. Get your stuff together. Why are you so sad? I'm like, it's a little baby dinosaur. So anyway, so those are some of the films that made me sprout some waterworks in the theater. Another question, are you ever going to make a video demonstrating your home theater setup? I am, and I actually owe that to a bunch of people, including Carl. Shout-outs to Carl. And it is kind of a Frankenstein. It's been cobbled together from multiple pieces over the years, which is pretty cool. It's got some patina to it. But I'll take you for a walkthrough for my rig very shortly. And are you looking forward to Batman versus Superman? I'm not, in the same way I wasn't looking forward to Man of Steel, in just that lowered expectations scenario, and then I ended up enjoying Man of Steel. I've always been more of a Marvel guy than a DC guy, and except for Batman. I always loved Batman, and was never really much of a Superman mega. I like the Superman movies more than the comics, I think. So I'm cautiously, mildly interested, but I'm not really getting my hopes up, or like, this is going to be amazing. Zack Snyder is like a bit of a wild card now. He's hit or miss, so I don't know. I'm just going to go in with open expectations, and we'll see what happens. Leroy Green 85 show enough wrote in, congrats on 500 subscribers. Definitely the Blu-ray collection update. I'm going to get that going for you. I was talking about Last Dragon, and of course we're both fans of Last Dragon. Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. Check it out if you want to learn the moves and learn about how you shouldn't throw angels on the fire, and learn about how awesome the Shogun of Harlem is. And one of the questions he had was, do you think if the major players, i.e. Sony, etc., supported LD, would it have been the dominant format? And it's tough because LD really was supported by major players in the beginning, from MCA, IBM, Philips, etc., and they're the ones that made it fail in the first place. So Pioneer, being this like kind of nobody company when it picked it up by its bootstraps, I don't know, it kind of really made it what it was. So I'm not even sure if having somebody other than Pioneer on board would have saved the day. I think it was just a natural kind of evolution to DVD. I think that was going to happen regardless. And I know there was a lot of people in the industry that were interested in a 12-inch format with the kind of DVD compression algorithm, and then later HD. Though there were the Muse discs. I'll get into those at some point. So there could have been maybe more 12-inch scenarios in the future, but I don't know. It just seemed like the market was pushing so hard for video on a 5-inch CD, and Sony does know how to throw its money at that format, so for sure. And they love their own like exclusive killer apps and all that stuff. But I don't know. I think it was kind of inevitable. Where do you see physical media eventually going full circle? It's getting kind of weird now. It almost looks as if physical media is going back towards a niche market, like what Laserdisc was to film collectors. That's why I'm not really that worried about it, because I love physical media and I can't really give up on it, and I don't often buy anything that's just a digital project only or product only. I don't mind renting things. That's pretty cool, and I'll occasionally fire up a movie on Amazon or something like that and rent it. It's just a replacement of the old rental market. But as far as libraries, I have digital libraries, but I don't really count them as a real library. There's got to be something, in my hand for it to be a library. So I'm not really worried about physical media going away, because I think there's always going to be either some boutique imprint or somebody pressing media, something for me to collect. So, I mean, even now it's interesting. I know some people don't like a lot of Twilight Times releases, but between them and Shout Factory, there's all these companies like picking up the table scraps left over by the big companies. And before, I don't think that would really have happened as much, where the big companies would have held on to their catalog titles for their own releases. And now, Warner doesn't even press everything. They've got their archive collection where they print DVD-Rs on demand or something like that. So I think there's more opportunities for more companies like Twilight Time and Shout Factory, etc., to step up to the plate and say, hey, we want to actually make a product out of your film, and if you're just going to release it digitally, do that on your own, but we'll actually make something of it. So I'm hoping that's at the worst case scenario that'll happen. Best case scenario, I'm hoping maybe after the media has its way and it kills physical media, people will start to realize that maybe that wasn't a great idea and that they miss actually having physical media. It could be a similar case like that, where vinyl has had a resurgence because, some people say it's just, hipster kids looking at it because it's something cool and retro. But there's also an element of people finding things that were killed prematurely and realizing that there's value in them. And I'm hoping that'll possibly happen with physical media. Next question, 4K HD Blu-rays and the next media after Blu-ray. Do you think this is a niche or will it stick around? But yeah, I think if it is a niche, it's less because it's like 4K or the next step, and it's more because the media has an erection to get rid of physical media. Even back when the HD DVD versus Blu-ray thing was going on, every pundit had the answer. The war is over, but it doesn't matter. And everybody said, it doesn't matter. It's dead. It's dead. It's dead. It's dead. Everybody has been killing the corpse of physical media way before it was even on an oxygen respirator. So it's going to be a case where it's 4K, but who cares? You're going to hear a lot about that. So I'm not sure if it's really going to take hold. Again, I think it's heading more towards a niche format. That said, I'm totally cool with if there is like studio archive quality versions of films available for me, even if it's just a small kind of Laserdisc-esque niche. And you do a podcast, I'll have to listen. I do a bunch of radio shows, and most of them are also uploaded online, and there's a bunch of links below in pretty much all of my video descriptions, I think. But the one I do every week is on WWUH.org, and there's a StreamRewind option. There's a kind of company that takes our streams and hosts them for about 2 weeks after each show. So I've got a show on Sunday nights on the East Coast in the U.S. called Culturedogs, hence my name. And we just talk about movies and all sorts of stuff like that. Been doing that for far too many years. But yeah, that's out there as well. And then some of my other shows I do talking about home video releases on CBS radio. And then also NPR, sometimes I'll go on as a culture correspondent. So a lot of my NPR appearances are on there as well. So again, yeah, there's some of the links down below. You can check that stuff out. But the one I do every week is Culture Dogs, and that's on WWUH.org. So check it out. Woody Pecker wrote in not directly related to LD, but being part of a generation that sank its teeth and dollars into media. How did you go about discovering movies back in the day? Did you read Starlog, word of mouth, or did you just pick up the VHS boxes and say, this looks cool? And it was a combo of all those. Starlog was hardcore. Everybody I knew read Starlog. I used to read that. Cine Fantastique, of course. I think Fantastic Films or something to that effect. Cinefex was also big. So yeah, that stuff really kind of laid a lot of groundwork, and watched At the Movies, just checking that show out all the time, and then some of the other kind of knockoff shows. Then there was the magazines a little bit later on. I used to get Video Watchdog, of course, and Widescreen Review. Clued me into a lot of stuff, but yeah, there was a little bit of word of mouth too, and definitely VHS boxes at a store. Got a lot of titles in my face, and then just of course having cable and having HBO and Spotlight and all that stuff running nonstop introduced me some stuff too. So yeah, it was a bit of a combo of all that stuff. John the Justified Ancient Jenkins wrote in, I like your videos, they're great, thanks brother. Congratulations on 600 subs. What's your absolute all-time favorite home release, video release of a film? That's a tough one, but I think I have to go with the Criterion Collection box set of 7, just because I was in love with that film when it came out in theaters, and a really big David Fincher fan, and that was like beyond my wildest dreams. I never thought that a film that I appreciated that much was going to see that much instant recognition, and that like I opened up that page in whatever home theater magazine or whatever had the full page ad for it, and I like thought I was in a dream. It was like as if someone reached into my head and said, make a Criterion disc out of what Sam holds near and dear, and they did it. And so as much as I'd want to say every Cameron box set, you know, The Abyss, Alien, even Aliens, and even Ridley Scott's Alien, all those box sets are killer, and really what hooked me and dragged me into Laserdisc, it was just that out-of-body awesomeness of experiencing Seven, finding out it was coming out, going to race to Suncoast to pick it up on opening day. I'd pre-ordered it and everything like that, and just the depth of value in that sucker. So that's close. Lord of Illusions on Laserdisc is also one of my favorites, but I'll get into that one some other time. Carl Murawski wrote in, hey man, you quickly got 600 subs. Maybe you can give away a subwoofer for 1,000. Get it? Maybe. So what's the deal with your band? Oh, yes. If you have heard the opening theme to my channel, it's from a band I'm in, and I figured that what a good way to avoid paying royalties when you're in the band. And my band's called Sever the Drama, and I've been playing with those guys since 2010. I play bass. I used to be a guitarist before for many, many years, but now I switched over to the rhythm section, and I have a great time playing with those guys. And we put out an album in 2014 called Chasing Shadows, and I'll put the link for my website there. You can go check it out. We got a lot of cool stuff going on. Just got if you've ever heard of the band Hatebreed, Jamie Joster from the band Hatebreed puts out a compilation every year, and our song just got selected to do that, so it's going to be on like Mayhem Fest and all that stuff. If you're not into metal or hard rock, that probably won't mean anything to you, but it's pretty cool. Having a great time with those guys, and yeah, so Sever the Drama is the name of my band, and the song for the opening credits is called Anger Management. So thanks, Carl. Blake C. wrote in and wrote, what are your thoughts on the new film referencing Jurassic Park? And I did enjoy it. I'm actually going to drop a specific review on that. I slacked on that. I should have had that out ages ago, so look for that up shortly, and I'll kind of dig into Jurassic Park or Jurassic World a little bit more. All right, so this Q&A is getting a little long in the tooth, so I think we're going to take a little bit of a break. I'll split this sucker in half, and we'll come back very shortly in a hot minute with the rest of the questions. And again, thanks to everybody for writing in with these questions and for entering in the contest, and congratulations to PRP for winning this sweet Jurassic Park box set. So I'll talk to you guys in a short bit. Cheers.